My name's Chad. I play bass in Strife.
Andrew Klein, guitar player for Strife.
What do you guys do for work?
I do contracts for a concert promoter in California. So like artist contracts, venue agreements. Whenever we do a show that we buy and a band sends in a contract, I negotiate it and mark it up.
Okay.
I own a sneaker and streetwear store called Tradition out in Westlake. So.
And the rest of the guys, if you can speak for them.
Basically, Sid DJs a lot. He DJs and runs a clothing store. Rick does graphic design and photography, and also he is the creative director for a clothing brand called Fresh Jive. And Todd is a professional golf player.
Let's too bad Todd isn't here to give him some tips on...
Oh, he teaches too.
Todd's been playing golf as long as we know him. I mean, ever since I first met the guy, he's the guy who got me into playing golf, and he is a professional and does also like lessons over at a really
prestigious golf
prestigious
place.
golf
He's actually
course in
he was the
California.
golf pro at probably one of the top golf courses in the U.S.
He plays
That's where
in
they
tournaments
do the
and
Tiger
stuff.
Woods Invitational and whatnot. So.
I want to talk just for a bit about your records. Anger Beans came out and it was a different focus. The lyrics were different. The imagery was different.
Yep.
Focused more on humanity. Where would Strife be today if they put out a new album?
I think it'd be more along the same lines. I mean, at the time that Anger Memes came out, we were writing with no limits. You know, creatively, we were in an entirely different place just because of bands that we toured with and played with over the years, and it took us in an entirely new direction, and we had a whole new set of issues to focus on. You know, after In This Defiance came out, we wrote Untitled, which is more that same direction, and the new record is pretty much, or not so new anymore, but Anger Memes was more or less carrying on the back of what Untitled had already started to unfold with just the writing style itself.
Yeah, I think for us, we really didn't want to kind of rehash our first two records, and kind of, you know, we wanted to just do what we wanted to do, and write a different album. You know, lyrically, there was definitely different topics we wanted to focus on, and yeah, I mean, we have no plans of recording a new album, and if we did, I don't know where it would go. It really just would depend on our moods, like when we sat down to write it, you know.
I read an interview, I believe it was with you, Chad, where you discussed the issue of violence in hardcore, and how it had boiled over to a point where you guys didn't want to be involved.
Well, I can't speak so much for the band itself. I mean, it's really about what I was feeling at the time, and there's nothing that pisses me off more than going and seeing something so positive get dragged down so hard by violence. I think anyone would agree with that. You know, going to a show and just seeing like a bunch of kids that are going to gang up on one kid because his views are different, or maybe this is his first experience in hardcore, or something that he got brought to by his friends and all of a sudden he's been excluded. If that was me when my friends brought me into the hardcore scene, you know, I was feeling just this overall level of acceptance. There was just a ton of unity, and I just don't think that really exists anymore. You know, and that's what I was feeling at the time. I know exactly which interview you're talking about, and that's exactly what I was feeling then. It's just more or less like the level of acceptance. Bands that used to come out and sing about unity and acceptance, there's really not that much more of that going on anymore, you know? It's all turned to a much grayer, darker area. It's just the violence level is totally increased, and it's nothing to slam bands that are out there today, because a number of those bands, not those in general, we have a number of bands that play music today that we're friends with, and I love what they're doing. I love that they're still out there doing it, but there's still a lot of bands out there and a lot of people involved in the hardcore scene that think violence is a more appropriate way to spend a good night, which to me it's not. I love to come out, dance, sing along to songs, and have fun with people that I'm friends with and don't even know, make new friends, and just maintain that level of unity of acceptance that I've come to know in the hardcore scene over the years.
On the topic of straight edge, I'm not going to get into it too deeply, but I mean, people change over time. People grow up.
Yeah.
And I think this is a problem among, you know, a lot of the straight edge, you know, militant thinkers, is that if you're now, you're forever. And there's no room for
Or if you're not now, you never were.
That's it.
Right.
And there's no room for human growth or experimentation. What are your feelings on that?
You know, it's really just being straight edge is just a very personal thing. It's not a group thing or something that you're involved with. Everyone's their own person, you know? And not being straight edge for me, I'm not going to say that it's opened up my mind to a lot of different things, because it's not like I'm out there doing drugs. I'm not falling asleep in, you know, gutters every night. I still maintain pretty much the same life I did when I was straight edge. I'm older now, and that's not to say if you're older you can't be straight edge. I know people that are 39 and straight edge, but it's just a path that I've chosen to take, the same as being straight edge was. It's my life, and I choose to live it the way that I want. I come out, I play in the same band, I do the same exact, like, things with my friends that I did before. It's living exactly the same life, but the views of my life have opened up a lot more to just not drinking, smoking, or doing drugs. I have concerns that grow far beyond that.
Such as?
The threat of homelessness in the United States, I think, is a big deal, and I don't think people focus on it nearly enough. I think the threat of drug abuse after losing so many friends to drugs themselves over the years, and just wondering when people on a whole are going to wake up and realize that is not a way to live a life. You know, and these are things that, you know, being straight edge is great, but that's not to say that you should cut out the person that's not straight edge. You should help the person that has these problems. I mean, instead of totally excommunicating them from your life altogether because they're not like you or they're not what you are, you should be offering a hand to these people. They don't have to be straight edge, but you should at least offer some level of, hey, you know what, maybe we can help you with whatever problem it is that you have going on. Unfortunately for me in my life, it was a little bit too late to realize that a lot of people had these issues until they'd passed away, but I still think that, like I said before, it's an overall level of acceptance. It's straight edge is something that also relates to punk rock, and punk rock was something that was very accepting, and you didn't have to be straight edge to be involved with punk rock. So I just think in terms of music on a whole, and keeping the straight edge mentality with it, it just needs to grow a lot more. It needs to be a lot more open-minded. I love straight edge. I love the philosophy. I love the mentality, and it took up a very large part of my life. But there comes time to grow. You know, there comes time to move on. I mean, Andrew's still straight edge. He's been straight edge all his life. You know, and he's got his own personal views on it. It's just a very, very individual thing.
Andrew, how do you feel still being straight edge in a band that was once just straight edge, and now everyone's grown up, and you know?
I think it's cool. I mean, for me, it's like, it makes no difference to me. It's like, straight edge or not, these guys are, you know, my best friends, and any chance I get to hang out with, you know, all five of us together, you know, I want to do it. You know what I mean? And it's fine, you know. And when we first started playing again, yes, we got some slack, and I think people finally accepted the fact that we're gonna do what we're gonna do, and we don't care that, you know, what a bunch of kids on the internet think. You know, it's like we're here to have fun. We're here to play good music. We're here to, you know, put on a great show, and that's what we're gonna do. You know, and I think, you know, a lot of kids today never got a chance to see us, and I think, you know, we're giving, you know, a lot of kids that chance, and I think, you know, I think we are doing it, you know, just as well as we were 10 years ago, and I think that's more the important part. You know, it's like, when I hear, like Chad said, when I hear for the money, we're here to have fun and play songs that we like, and that's it, you know. I mean, if anything, you know, as a band, what we do want to preach is open-mindedness, acceptance, and that's it, you know. Let's show that you can have a good time at a hardcore show and have some good positive energy, and, you know, and have fun without the violence, you know what I mean? And that's, you know, as a band, you know, that's basically what we would preach on stage, you know, and that's it. It's like, let's come together and all have a good time. That's it.
ShopTradition.com.
Yeah. Yeah, check out my website, ShopTradition.com. Check out Sid's DJ set. Forget that one.
DJSidVicious.com.
Yes.
I got nothing.
Registereddesign.blogspot.com.